Hello, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, folks, welcome to this session. In this session, we're gonna discuss some theories, okay, related to the documentation on session 7 and session 8, okay? But before starting, I would like to discuss with you three of the theories of language learning and acquisition. Let's see the first one. The first one says teachers should teach simple language structures before complex one. What do you think? That is true? That is false? What do you think about it, folks?
I agree. It makes sense. It makes sense. You have to begin with the simple structures, kind of introduction to the rest of the structures. They're not gonna understand the more complex ones if they don't
Basis,
know it.
right? Basis
Yeah.
language structures, right? Okay, good. Let's see another student. What do you think, folks? I would like to listen to some of you. What about Andrea Serna? Joseph Israel? Joshua Martinez? Patricia? Sherlyn? What do you think?
Teacher, it's me, Joshua.
Okay.
And well, in my opinion, I agree with that theory because in order to get a better result with the students, you have to teach the simple structures because for them will be more easier in order to make a exam or a test, and in that way they could um, learn the complex one in a better way.
Okay, thank you, Joshua Martinez. Let's see the second theory. Learners' errors should be corrected as soon as they are made in order to prevent the formation of bad habits. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Sabrina Santino, what do you think about it?
Thank you.
Could you please speak louder?
Teacher, I think that it's correct because errors or mistakes are part of the process. So in order to you learn something, the first step, you obviously have to be in a wrong case, and then the teacher or the mentor will teach you in the correct way.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Let's see the third one and the last one. It is essential for learners to be able to pronounce all the individual sound in the second language. Abigail Janes, what do you think about this theory? Do you agree with that or not?
Yes, I am agree because when I am learning another language, I like to try many times to pronounce word that I don't know.
To
You know,
imitate the sounds, right?
yes,
Paul Gutierrez, what about you? Do you agree with her?
Yes, I agree, teacher, because the learning is correct formation, habit, or daily or routine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, listen, now we have one presentation of some of your peers that they are going to present something. They're going to talk about the things or the document, the information that you got in the session 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so go ahead, folks.
Dania?
The presentation is about the theory of language, the content, the learning and foreign language in context. I explain about this concept. Learning a language in context refers to practice of accurate profiling in a second language. I have example in my life. I study vocabulary, lives, and cool. I could watch movie or TV programs in language with subtitles. Or sometimes when come native speakers in Nicaragua, because I work in an organization. Sometimes con team in this organization, I try to conversation engage one native speaker. In this form, I think the is a help to understand how words and phrases are using this person. In this way, sometimes learn a foreign language in context and different pronunciation, and making the learning process more effective and practical. Is a one example.
Let me know if you need me to change the slide.
I'm sorry, teacher. I see. It's a one example in the real life about the learning and foreign language. In some case, the practice and have at least the vocabulary, etc. And the traditional approach of memories, vocabulary, and conjugating verbs has given way to more dynamic and impactful methods. In the class, the most experience is to practice what activities and try to the students the pronunciation to be a individual.
Okay, when we're talking about learning a foreign language in context, Jose will be talking about 6 different topics: cognitive
Okay.
mechanism, comprehension, engagement, contextual priming, and vocabulary retention. Number 3, authentic communication and practical application. Number 4, cultural and social linguistic insights. Number 5, neuroplasticity and language acquisition. And the last one he would be talking about is motivation and enjoyment. Enjoyment. So Jose, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. So the list of topics you see there, those are topics which are part of a larger research on the topic of learning a second language in context. Those are not only arguments in favor, but also benefits of learning a second language in context. The first one is cognitive mechanisms and comprehension enhancement. And the studies in this topic particularly say that learning a second language in context enhances the comprehension of the language. This is immersing yourselves in a meaningful context will allow your brain to deduce the meaning of the words based on the surrounding information. And if I were to give you an example, I would say that is much more effective for you to discuss or have a conversation with a native speaker than just memorizing grammar structures or X, Y, Z word. Second is the contextual priming and vocabulary retention. The studies have also demonstrated that for those words that we learn within a relevant context, our brain also stores the connections within that context. So that makes it easier to retrieve and apply the vocabulary. Again, same example, it is much more effective for you to leave or learn a vocabulary if you make that vocabulary part of your real life than just going and memorizing vocabulary from a paper. Number 3, authentic communication and practical application. And what the research says about this is that engaging in real life scenarios, and by real life scenarios, I mean role plays, dialogues, or discussions, that will have an impact on how authentic you look in your conversations. Again, those people that have never been in an actual conversation with a native speaker will not perform the same than those that have had the opportunity in the past. Could you move to the next slide, please? Number 4, cultural and social linguistic insights. And the studies about this particular topic say that learning a second language in context enables the learners to understand cultural and social linguistic aspects of the communication. As a result, the learner is more successful in building rapport with the native speaker. We know that every word in English, depending on the country or state, that will have some sort of variation in the meaning, right? Some words mean something in England, some words mean different thing in the US. So what the research says is that by engaging with real life scenarios, you get to learn those cultural variations. Number 5, neuroplasticity and language acquisition. What the studies tell us about this is that learning the language in context activates greater areas in our brain than other traditional learning techniques. So the brain forms more robust connections between words, meaning, and context. Neuroplasticity is the capacity of the brain to form synaptic connections. So the scientists basically say that exposing yourself to the language in real life contexts, that will trigger the brain to form more stronger synaptic connections, which is good, of course. Number 6 and last, motivation and enjoyment. And the scientists say that the significant sense of enjoyment, there's a significant sense of enjoyment and motivation that is originated from learning the language in context. It's more enjoyable and more rewarding to understand ideas and communicate our ideas successfully in a real life scenario than just memorizing vocabulary and grammar. And basically what the whole thing says here is that exposing yourself to real life, engaging with people as part of the learning process is much more effective and much more enjoyable than locking yourself in a room with a teacher, just, studying grammar and vocabulary. And I think this is common sense. I think we can apply this to everyday life. Whatever we learn by practice it stays in our brains.
Yes, you're
We
right.
learn that more effectively than just memorizing whatever it is that we have to memorize. Thank you.
The next slide. I'm going to be talking about the second or the third topic, I think it is, correct psychological theories, the cognitive development perspective. Since 1990, a lot of psychologists have been increasing researches to get to how they can develop in a right way a second language, how a person can learn more effectively a second language. I'm going to be talking about 3 topics, and the first one is information processing. When we talk about information processing, this refers to a mental process involved in building, storing, and capturing and manipulating information. This emphasizes the active role of the mind in processing and interpreting information. I can give you an example about information processing is this theory based in action is how individuals process and remember information while studying for an exam. The information, this point tell us that the information goes to our mind, goes to our memory, and when needed, this information is when we can talk about the memories that stays in our mind. For example, all that information that stores in our mind, in our memory, then when we need to give out information or answer a question, all these memories go back into our mind. This builds up knowledge that can eventually call an autocally for speaking and understanding, right? All this information in our mind, this help us build knowledge, right? And we can speak and understand the information that we process. When we talk about the second one is connectionism. Connectionism, this propose that cognitive process involve the simultaneous activation. This accords lever as processing for sensory perception to highlight cognitive function. This connectionism based on how a language is learned. How do we learn this language? The learners graduate, build up their knowledge of learning through they eventually whatever you hear. You have different students that learn better hearing instead of like being in a classroom hearing the teacher giving a class. Like you have a lot of students that they learn everything stay in their memory, right? Everything stay in their memory. They don't have to write anything in their notebook. Everything just store up in their memory. So you have in this connectionism, they eventually learn by hearing. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is the competition model. When we talk about a competition model, this model is how people make decision, how their decision making accord, how they decide, how they make decision. This competition can be influenced by factors such as past experience, motivation, and cognitive basis. When we talk about competition model, this theory, it's related or close to the connectionism. This language acquisition occurs without the necessity of learners' focused attention or the need for any initial brain. So if we notice these three theories, the three of them go together, right? But if we look at competition model and connectionism, both of them goes together. So like I said before, in 1990, psychologists start making researches about how to teach and how students can be have a better development in a second language. So let's go on to the other slide.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue to the next one.
Paolo or Elizabeth?
Oh, it's my part.
Go ahead.
It's my part, teacher. Hi, everyone. I had to talk about explaining the second language learning. So, on second language acquisition theories give a primary importance to learn innate capacity of language acquisition. In my opinions, on the other hand, an acquisition of a child is a little different sign. The child will learn through the observation and words they occur, and it is more complex because they are learning in different ways. For example, through educational games, and stimulate your mind to acquire more knowledge and adapt to change in your language. And the second language learn is a different from a very young child acquiring a first language. It is through interest both the learning characters and environment in which first and the second language acquisitions. And in my case, only a study who already occurs a second water says the environment is focuses on acquiring more knowledge from study now the cell phone, and is a very useful tool in a learning issues. For example, I study learning the language through documentary and fields in music, and university study or course, other class, whatever. And the third, second language learning, regardless of age, have already acquired of less one language. This prior knowledge may be advanced in the sense that they have an idea of how language works. What is that means? It is that study already has prior knowledge of their language. It is easier for them to adapt science. They know how these words understand, and it is I can be considered an advantage. In my case, since they not have initial right learning because I already have prior knowledge, because the many people is different learning to adapt a language. For me, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Okay, in the presentation, we can see that understanding contextual learning means to know how important is to get conversations, interactions, or discussions in the real life. And the first one we can see is enhance comprehensions and retention. This refers how native speakers answer, ask naturally or spontaneously, without processing or thinking too much about every word they said. So the learners mimic this, and as a result is quicker to get an accurate and developed language processing. The second one promotes practical applications. Okay, this refers in the real life situations, the learners get the ability to express themselves in real interactions and real conversation. That's mean in the university, in a restaurant, I don't know. So it's in the real situations with native speakers maybe or other learners is the best way to get knowledge and experience. And I think the practice is the best teacher, is the best way to learn. And the third, we have cultivate culture awareness. This refers the learning a language means to know and understand other culture, understanding the idiom, the gestures. This allows the learners improve effectively. And the last ones will be improve language fluency. The fluency is essential to get natural conversations and build meaningful relationships. Fluency, I think, is the ability to understand and make themselves understood. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. So let's move. Okay, good. So that's all, right?
Yes.
Okay, folks, for the rest of students, we have 22 participants in this Zoom session. I would like to listen to you, at least two of you, making a little summary about what was the presentation. No one? Okay, I'm gonna choose some of you. Stephanie Yatsuri, Stephanie Lindo, what was the presentations about? Freddie Downs, it's over here. Jennifer, what about you, Jennifer? Lucia Burto.
Good evening, teacher.
Yeah, good evening.
Well, a brief summary about that topic that my classmates were talking about. It's about foreign learners and English.
Yeah.
And as a comment that I can give is that it's important that they said about to be an experience in real life with the language, because we can practice pronunciation, we can practice and to learn another words. And something that is interesting about the native speakers is that they talk fast, and they use a lot of the linking words, and that is so important to practice for us that we are learning about the language. And I think we can improve our English using that things that the native speakers do. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. What about you, Lucia Oviedo? What do you understand for the presentation? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, folks, I really appreciate for being connected in this session. Thank you very much, especially the groups that was presenting. Okay, related to the other presentation. Be ready for next class, okay? Because your presentation is gonna be presentially in the classroom. Be ready for that, okay? Late presentation won't be graded, okay? Okay, folks? And if you don't have any question, that will be all for today, okay? Thank you.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah.
Teacher, I have a question at the second task in this platform. Is it presentation or other Sunday?
Yes, it's
It's a
gonna be on
presentation.
March
The
17th.
same. Okay. This is okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, folks, if no more questions, have a good night, okay? Bye.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
You too,
Bye.
bye. Good night.
Goodbye, guys. Bye.
Okay, goodbye all.
Bye.